Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 17th of July, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar, still just edging lower. We've taken out that June low this week, and we see here another weekly candle we're lower. Remembering this is my long-term, my medium-term, and my short-term view of the market. So we are still in bearish mode, and the long-term trend is just entering bearish as well. Of course, this low that we saw back in March is going to be the really critical level. And that means the euro is starting to look stronger against the dollar on the long-term chart, just starting to break through. So that's quite interesting as well. Sterling is up this morning against the dollar, 125, and just hovering around 110 on the euro. So we are seeing sterling steadily sinking lower there as well. Bitcoin, very little changed at $9,000, still in a short-term downtrend, but long-term we've just been flat around this level. US stocks were down slightly last night. We saw the S&P 500 index down 0.34%. So just still struggling to break that June 8th high. This week we did see moves in that direction, but we're just struggling to break convincingly above that level. And the Nasdaq, also, not a great week for the Nasdaq. We had that big bearish engulfing candle on Monday. It will be interesting to see how we end the week today, but that is the first really big weekly bearish candle that we've had since the recovery. So unless, of course, we reverse a lot of that today. Looking at the Dow, we were down 0.5% last night. And looking at the futures this morning, we're up 0.2% on the S&P, and the Nasdaq future is up 0.9%. So it does suggest US stocks are going to open higher today, and we're seeing here the run in the future is still pretty good. The VIX volatility is down this morning. That's good news for the market. We are coming back to this 27 level on the VIX, not yet lower than that June 8th low that we saw, and the volatility is still twice what we saw at the start of the year. So it does need to be remembered. We do have downside targets now, suggesting that we're going back to around 17.24 as the near side target, but the volatility is looking like it's calming down. The FTSE future is down slightly this morning. The DAX future is up slightly, and the DAX cash is actually up about 0.15%. So we are just seeing European markets holding steady. The CAC Quarante actually is down, so there's a bit of a mixed picture there. And if we look at the Japanese market, we're down 1/3%. Still in long-term decline on the long-term chart. Short-term, we're looking a little bit more bullish. The Hang Seng was up for 0.5%, but still not enough to change the short-term trend. Medium-term, we are still bullish, but long-term bearish. In long-term decline over the last few years. Of course, China has been the big story. We saw Chinese stocks last week really jump and gap up on that week, the rise. This week, we've retraced a lot of that move, and we've closed the week with a big bearish candle, but not enough to reverse the jump that we saw last week. So still holding on to bullishness and just finding some support there on the cloud. The Sensex in India has had a good week, up 0.8%. And has fared better than most, and the Aussie market is up 0.4%, so looking better there as well. Taking a look at gold, we're just holding $1,800 or $1,801 this morning. We did dip below $1,800 yesterday, but we are still in very bullish charts, long and medium term. Short term, we just have pulled back, but we still do have these upside targets and not really much to play for on the downside. Silver is down 0.5% this morning, but still looking pretty strong, and US 10-year yields just heading lower, 0.61%. Just on breaking that 0.6%, we've been in the doldrums really on yields in the US. Taking a look now at the energy mix, Brent crude down 0.8% this morning. We did hit 43.75 yesterday and the day before, so we have seen crude still just edging higher, not showing any signs of falling away, and we've got longer term targets upside. We do have a downside target to 41.95, so it does look like we will pull back, but for the moment we're holding on. And WTI sitting at $40. That psychologically important $40 level being held as well. US nat gas sitting at 173. Storage numbers out yesterday did fall away again on nat gas, these low 170s. Downside targets lower. It is still looking pretty worrying for US nat gas. We've got downside target to 1.5, and even one as low as $1. Looking at coal, we did hit over $60 yesterday. It's holding on, and the bull trend, the recovery really is still very much underway. And if we look at emissions, we see much the same picture. We've actually fallen away, fallen back to these downside targets. We did have a big move in emissions. A lot of people have been asking about this, but we have seen we've come back here to probably within trend. So we need to just watch for any new short-term targets being generated there. And also MBP, we've seen quite a rocky week, but we're up 3% this morning. And TTF, we've held that €5 mark, which is absolutely critical. And we do have some new upside targets to around 540. So it does look like we'll recover a little bit of ground. Winter gas sitting at 1168, and we do have targets to 1120s. So for the moment, we are just finding some support at around 11.5. German power, last of all, is up 0.5% this morning. Did fall away quite heavily yesterday. We see that big daily candle there on the chart. We are falling away. We've got downside targets here, but really nothing that's trend changing on the medium-term chart. We're just seeing a short-term sell-off. That's it for today. Until Monday, have a great weekend. Happy charting. See you then.